Hello students, so today we will discuss foundation paper 1. Here I will say we will discuss about around 5 to 6 topics in this video, and the questions which we will discuss are the most important questions for your upcoming examinations. So let's start. The first topic for today is education. Under this topic, we will cover what is education, definitions of education, aims of education, characteristics of education, meaning of education. One more advice: try to write the answer. Whenever you write the answer, begin the answer with some quotation, quoted words. It gives a good impact on the examiner. So let's start the topic, education. What is education? Education is the golden key to freedom. Education is the development basis of any nation. Education is not static but a dynamic process which develops the child according to changing situation and times. Education is a continuous process of growth and is total development of the personality. It begins at the birth of child and continues till his death. Education is not limited to school or college or to a specific period of time or phase of life. Education is not merely collection of some information. It is the collection of experiences through life in the social and natural environment. It includes all the knowledge and experiences acquired during the infancy, childhood, adolescence, youth, manhood, or old age through any agency of education, formal, informal, or non-formal. So basically, education क्या है? Education is something which develops a personality. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Or education is responsible for the development of a nation. The nation which is more educated is more developed. Education is not static but is a dynamic process. Education स्थिर नहीं है, वो हमेशा चलते रहता है. और education बचपन से लेके मृत्यु तक चलता है, या फिर हम ये बोल सकते हैं कि माँ के गर्भ से फ्रॉम द वूम ऑफ मदर इट कंटिन्यूज टिल द डेथ ऑफ द मैन. And education is not only fixed to school or colleges or for a fixed period of time or for a fixed curriculum. Education is something which we obtain from our surroundings throughout our life. It is the collection of experiences, knowledge, information which we have, which help us to develop our life, which help us to develop us to a good citizen, help us to earn the bread and butter of our life, to solve the problems. This is what education is. The word education has been derived from the Latin language, which has three roots: educatum, educere, and educare. Educatum means to train and or art of teaching. Educere is to draw out innate powers. Educare is to bring up or to develop. Thus, drawing out the innate capacities of the individual to develop his personality to the full by training or teaching is called education. Now, meaning of education. There are two meanings of education. One is education in narrower meaning and other one is education in broader meaning. Education in narrower meaning is comprised of the education given to children formally. In other words, a system where there is a fixed person to teach a fixed person for a fixed period of time under a fixed curriculum in a fixed place. This type of education is confined to schools and colleges and for a certain time period only. तो एजुकेशन इन नैरोअर मीनिंग मतलब क्या हो गया? वैसा एजुकेशन जो हम लोग को स्कूल कॉलेज में मिलता है. यहाँ पे एक फिक्स आदमी रहता है, एक फिक्स पर्सन रहता है पढ़ाने के लिए, यानी कि टीचर, टू फिक्स ग्रुप ऑफ पर्सन यानी कि स्टूडेंट्स, फॉर अ फिक्स पीरियड ऑफ टाइम यानी कि हम लोग के पास एक एकेडमिक ईयर होता है, उसमें हम लोग अपना करिकुलम, हम लोग का एक सिलेबस होता है, उसको फिक्स्ड सिलेबस रहता है, उसको कंप्लीट करना रहता है इन अ फिक्स्ड प्लेस, दैट इज़ इन स्कूल, इन क्लासरूम एक्सेट्रा. नाउ एजुकेशन इन ब्रॉडर मीनिंग. In broader meaning, education is a process which continues whole life. In another word, we can say whatever the man learns since his birth till his death from his information and experience is called education. We can also say that education is the development which continues from man's birth to his death. Due to this development itself, man controls over his situation, solves the different problems of his life, and is always willing to follow his ideologies and do his work. We can also say that life is education and education is life. अब education in broader meaning को क्या है? Education in broader meaning is वो सारा कुछ जो हम सीखते हैं अपने जन्म से लेके अपने मृत्यु तक, all those experiences, all the characteristics, informations which help us to solve the problem of our life is called education. Now there are types of education. There are basically three types of education: formal education, informal education and non-formal education. Formal education is the education where there is a fixed person to teach a fixed person under a fixed curriculum or for a fixed period of time in a fixed place. This type of education is confined to school, colleges, universities. Informal education is the type of education which is imparted in the environment. Whatever a person learns from his birth till his death from his society, environment, family is called informal education. It can be received from anywhere through anyone at any time. We can see that the street hawkers or the vegetable vendors were not literate but are very good at calculating the money, the amount which they sell. This is an example of informal education. We can also have the example of informal education from our Hindu mythology, Mahabharata. It is believed that the Karn learned to form Chakravyuh from the womb of his mother itself. So, these all things which whatever we learn from our surroundings, from our environment, comes under informal education. Non-formal education. Non-formal education is the education which is systematically imparted to learners according to the timetable. Here aims, curriculum and time period is fixed but place and person to teach is not fixed. Adult education centers, library, Anganwadis, distance educations are example of it. So non-formal education जो है वो it is a mixture of formal and informal education. In this we have a fixed curriculum for a fixed period of time. There are aims but there is no one to teach and there is no place to teach. There is not any fixed place that you have to come to classroom then only you can study. So distance education, Anganwadi, library are examples of non-formal education. Characteristics of education. Education has several characteristics. Some of them are listed below. Education is a continuous process. हमेशा चलते रहता है. Education is dynamic and not static. Education develops the inherent power of child. Education helps in character formation. Education helps in overall development of an individual. It is a process of adjustment in environment. Education is a systematic process. Education is purposive. Aims of education. Education is a key to success. Education without aims is just like a boat without rudder. The overall development of child, responsible citizenship, earning of good life, livelihood, cultured life, all of these are aims of education. Knowledge and ideas attained while learning through different means are helpful in attaining these aims. Definitions of education. In these definitions of education, we will give the definition given by the famous psychologists or famous philosophers which are quoted. We also have some of the definitions given in the great books. So here are few definitions. According to Rig Veda, education is something which makes man self-reliant and selfless. According to Bhagavad Gita, nothing is more purifying on earth than wisdom. According to Vivekanand, education is the manifestation of the divine perfection. According to Gandhiji, by education I mean an all-round development, drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind and soul. According to Rousseau, education is the development of child from within. According to Aristotle, education is the creation of sound mind in a sound body. The roots of education is bitter, but the fruit is sweet. It is also one of other definition of education by Aristotle. Then another one is according to Herbert. Education is the development of good moral character. So this is it for the topic of education. Now we will go through the another topic. Now this second important topic which we will go through is the educational ideology of Rousseau. Here I want to say you that when we go through the educational ideology of Rousseau, we will also cover one of the important philosophy of education, that is known as naturalism, as Rousseau is the founder of naturalism. So let's start with Rousseau. First, whenever there is this type of question comes, first we have to give an introduction for the ideologist. So introduction for Jean Rousseau is: Jean Rousseau was born in 1712 in Geneva, and the beauty of place lured him to use it, which made him a careless man. He lost his mother at the time of his birth and was brought up by his father, who couldn't take care of him. Deprived of love and care from the society and family, he wanted everybody to shun the society and live with nature. When he got mature, he hated society for its evils and artificial tradition and wanted to reform it on the line of naturalism. His idea on education can be seen in his book Emily. It is a novel whose hero is Emily and heroine is Sophia. The book was banned at many places and was even burned, as it proposes a complete different theory of education. Due to this, Rousseau had to leave France in 1766 for 11 years, and when he returned back, he wrote his last book, Confessions. So, Jean Rousseau was born in 1712 and in Geneva, and the beauty of the nature attracted him and he became a careless man. रूसो की माँ का डेथ हो जाता है बचपन में, एंड सो रूसो स्टार्ट टू वॉन्डर हेयर एंड देयर वाज नो वन टू टेक एक्चुअली केयर ऑफ हिम, एंड ही बिकेम मोर क्लोज टू नेचर. And due to this closeness of nature, when he was growing, he started to hate the tradition of the society, artificialness of the society, the superstitious beliefs, and he propagated the theory of naturalism. And this theory of naturalism of him was given in his book Emily. So what is naturalism of Rousseau? God made all the human beings good, but when they come in the contact of society, they become spoiled. In order to change them from bad to good, we should bring them back into the nature. Thus, a child should be educated and develop according to his natural tendencies. Family, society, or school has almost no role to play in this process. He opened the old values and traditions. He opposed the old values and traditions of the society. He opposed the organizations of education on social foundation. Thus, he opposed the school education in its formal sense and advocated individual basis of education. He opposed all sorts of habit formation in the child because this can make a child traditional. What Rousseau said in his naturalism ideology, that to educate a child, we should bring him back to nature. The society, the family or school has no process to play in this, has no role to play in this process. He completely opposed the values and traditions of the society, the organization of education. In short, he opposed the school education or the bookish education. Now, what is negative education of Rousseau? Rousseau believed that the infallibility of man and proposed the idea of negative education. By this education, he meant not teaching truth or virtues to a child, but shielding his heart from evil, fine mind from errors. Some of these features are: nothing against the interest, aptitude, or age of the child should be taught. He should be given full freedom to choose his own curriculum. Rousseau said that the child should not be taught truth or virtue, but he should be his heart should be free from all the evilness, and his mind should be free from the errors. He said that the child should be free to choose his own curriculum. The curriculum should be completely according to his interest, his aptitude, and his age. The education of child should be based on his natural tendencies and stages of development by using different organs and senses of the child. Child should be protected from outside environment to keep him alien to vices. In this way, there will not be any need to impart knowledge of virtues to the child. Virtue may be taught at the later stages of life. The child should not be taught anything at all, especially from books. Small children learn from nature itself. Thus, by his negative education, Rousseau opposed not only the mental development but also the moral and spiritual development. Rousseau said that कि चाइल्ड का एजुकेशन जो होना चाहिए वो नेचुरल स्टेजेस और टेंडेंसी के हिसाब से होना चाहिए, वो अपने ऑर्गन्स और अपने सेंसेस से पढ़े. और he was completely against the bookish knowledge, the bookish education. Aims of education. Whatever we do not have is to be given by education is the ultimate aim of education. The first aim of education according to Rousseau was जो हमारे पास नहीं है, जो चाइल्ड के पास नहीं है, वो उसको अल्टीमेटली मिलना चाहिए. To establish harmony between man, objects and nature. Second, the third one is the aim of education is to develop child various power by helping in his natural activities. And the fourth one is the aim of education is to develop the child to the fullest for his complete and happy living. Now, another ideology of Rousseau was self-education. He opposes the imposition of ideas and morals into the child from outside. They should learn these things through activities. Whatever is learned in playground is 4 times effective than whatever is learned in classroom. His only concern was to bring about a change in the form through any activity. Rousseau says if Emile is given chance of self-study, he will use his own reason. He will not be dependent on the experiences of others. Just as body becomes strong through physical exercises, mind also becomes strong through self-study. In self-education, child can proceed further according to his own physical and mental capacities. A child should not learn a thing because he has been asked to do so. He should only learn it in the process of self-study. Special attention should be given on physical development of the child. If he is physically healthy, his impulses will also be healthy. Thus, according to Rousseau, a child should not be taught the truth directly. He should only be guided to discover the truth himself. Now, what is the curriculum of Rousseau? He divided his whole curriculum on the basis of developmental stages of humans. For infancy, that is 0 to 5 years, at this stage, instead of giving him controlled information of various subjects, it is better to pay attention to the child's body and sense organs. He should be allowed to play whatever things he likes. His toys should be cheap, ordinary and natural like leaves, plants, flowers, stones, etc. According to Rousseau, Emile should be given negative education during this stage. Now, childhood. He opposes the use of any textbook during the period. Child should be given chance to learn everything through observation and experiences. These experiences develop sense organs, which will lead to the development of mind and his power of reasoning. Geometry may be taught during this period, and the inclusion of history, geography and languages in curriculum is not proper. Limited amount of moral education may be given through activities. Adolescence. During this period, natural curiosity in the child develops. So, he should be taught natural sciences and language, mathematics, music, painting and social sciences. This is a good period of education according to Rousseau, but here too, use of sense organs is preferred to books. Industrial and professional experiences are also necessary at this stage to earn livelihood. Adulthood. Sex organs become active along with the maturity of mind and intellect during this period. It is the proper time to teach them moral and social obligations. It is because they can now recognize what is right and what is wrong. The youth should rather go to society and visit the hospitals, prisons, and orphanages in order to see the evils and miseries of the society directly. Women education. Rousseau was against freedom and education for women. He wanted to keep them under control and enable them best to serve man. According to Rousseau, women should give all the time, love, respect, and happiness to man. According to him, women should not be taught philosophy, reading, and writing as they are not interested in it. Instead, they should learn household works such as cooking, tailoring, and weaving. Rousseau proposed principles of education. The principles are as follows. Learning by games. Rousseau advocated playway method instead of oral and verbal teaching. Learning through natural objects. Whatever a child wants to know, he should be given that knowledge through natural objects rather than books. Learning by self experiences and learning by doing. Discipline of Rousseau. Rousseau advocated complete freedom and absence of any restraint for the child. He was against of giving any sort of punishment to children. When the child does any mistake, he suffers pain, and when he does something good, he feels pleasure. Hence, natural process of feedback instills discipline in him. Influence of Rousseau. Rousseau's philosophy influenced other European philosophers also. Some of them are: education is not the preparation of life but life itself. John Dewey accepted this principle of Rousseau. Children should be educated through nature. Spencer accepted this principle. Education of a child should start only when his natural impulses are fully matured. Pestalozzi and Froebel accepted this principle. Interest of child changes according to his age. All modern philosophers followed this. If a child has logical power, it should be utilized in research and solving the daily problems. This principle was also been accepted by Dewey. That's it for the educational methodology of Rousseau. Now we will cover another topic. Now, one of the most important question which comes usually in exam is they explain the merits and demerits of formal and non-formal education. It can come in other ways also, like differentiate between formal and non-formal education, give the advantage and disadvantage of formal and non-formal educations. So let's go through this topic. Education. See, we have to write it as a long question answer. So first we will have a short introduction, then we will go through formal education separately and then through non-formal education separately. Education brings a natural and lasting change in an individual's reasoning and ability to achieve the targeted goal. It facilitates us to investigate our own consideration and thoughts and makes it ready to express it in various shapes. Education is the main thing that encourages us to distinguish between right and wrong, because in the absence of education we can't do what we need or we can't achieve our goal. Straightforwardly we can say education is the passage to progress. It is additionally the way to our fate, as achievements can only be accomplished when individuals have information, aptitudes and frame of mind. Education also means helping people to learn how to do things and encouraging them to think about what they learn. Education goes beyond what takes place within the four walls of the classroom. A child gets the education from the experiences outside the school as well as from within. On the basis of these factors, there are three types of education, namely formal, informal, and non-formal education. So, formal education. Formal education or formal learning usually takes place in the premises of the school, where a person may learn basic academic or trade skills. Small children often attend a nursery or kindergarten, but often formal education begins in elementary school and continues with secondary school. It is associated with a specific stage and is provided under certain set of rules and regulations. The formal education is given by specifically qualified teachers. They are supposed to be efficient in the art of instruction. It also observes strict discipline. The student and the teacher both are aware of the facts and engage themselves in the process of education. Now, characteristics of formal education. Formal education is structured hierarchically. It is planned and deliberate. Scheduled fees are paid regularly. It has a chronological grading system. It has a syllabus and a subject oriented. The syllabus has to be covered within a specific time period. The child is taught by the teachers. Advantages of formal education. An organized educational model and up-to-date course contents. Students acquire knowledge from trained and professional teachers. Structured and systematic learning process. Intermediate and final assessments are ensured to advance students to the next learning phase. Institutions are managerially and physically organized. Leads to a formally recognized certificate, easy access to jobs. Disadvantages of formal education. Sometimes brilliant students are bored due to the long wait for the expiry of the academic session to promote to the next stage. Chance of bad habits adaptation may be alarming due to the presence of both good and bad students in the classroom. Wastage of time, as some lazy students may fail to learn properly in spite of motivation by the professional trainees. Some unprofessional and non-standard education system may cause the wastage of time and money of the student, which leads to disappointment. Costly and rigid education as compared to other forms of learning. Now, non-formal education. Non-formal education includes basic education, adult literacy education, or school equivalency preparation. In non-formal education, someone can learn literacy, other basic skills or job skills. Home education, individualized instruction, distance learning, and computer assisted instructions are other possibilities. Non-formal education is imparted consciously and deliberately and systematically implemented. It should be organized for a homogeneous group. Non-formal education should be programmed to serve the needs of the identified group. This will necessitate flexibility in the design of the curriculum and the scheme of evaluation. Characteristics of non-formal education. The non-formal education is planned and takes place apart from the school system. The timetable and syllabus can be adjustable, unlike theoretical formal education. It is practical and vocational education. Non-formal education has no age limit. Fees or certificates may or may not be necessary. It may be full-time or part-time learning, and one can earn and learn together. It involves learning of professional skills. Advantages of non-formal education: practice and vocational training. Naturally growing minds that do not wait for the system to amend. Literacy with skillfulness, growth in which self-earning is appreciated. Flexibility in age, curriculum and time. Open-ended educational system in which both the public and private sectors are involved in the process. No need to conduct regular examinations. Diploma, certificates and award are not essential to be awarded. Disadvantages of non-formal education: attendance of participants is unsteady. Basic reading and writing skills are crucial to learn. No professional and trained teachers. Students may not enjoy full confidence as the regular students enjoy. Some institutes provide fake certification through online course just for the sake of earning. Sometimes it's just wastage of time. So this is it for formal and non-formal education. Now, one of the other important topic is the problems of universalization of primary education. What steps are taken by the government to solve it? After independence, the education at primary level developed the least. The number of students increased rapidly in primary classes, but the rule of education in constitutions are not followed yet, under which it was to provide free and compulsory education for children from 6 years to 14 years, which was to be completed in 10 years after independence. Education is absolutely essential for a child to perform his role well in his own life. It also benefits other members of the community who may suffer prominently from the consequence of ignorance and lack of education in their companion citizen. Education for the poor is essential for self-improvement, social mobility and citizenship. In any equalitarian and democratic society, education is of utmost importance. Universalization of elementary education has been long accepted as a precondition to socio-economic and political development of any society. Universalization of elementary education means universal access, enrollment, retention, and qualitative education up to the age of 14. Universalization of elementary education has been long accepted as a precondition to socio-economic and political development of any society. Although this has been recognized as a need of an individual, this need has been given an expression of fundamental right in Article 28 of the Convention on the Rights of Child. The Constitution of India does not recognize right to education as a fundamental right but has placed it explicitly in Article 45 under the directive principles of state policy. The article places an obligation on the state to endeavor to provide free and compulsory education to all children up to 14 years. Primary education provides fundamentals of all formal education. It starts at 6 years and continues up to 10 to 11 years of age. Primary education is a fundamental need of life and its development. Education is a birthright of every child which must be ensured by state or central government. Primary education is the minimum education for an individual which helps in the removal of darkness of ignorance and illiteracy from his life. It makes man capable of reading, writing, and knowing the environment in which he lives. It enables him to make proper adjustment and progressive development in the society. Therefore, it becomes the obligatory duty and bounded responsibility of the government of a welfare state to make this education available to every child. What are the problems faced in universalization of education? Defects in education techniques. To provide free and compulsory education, All India Primary Education Council was established in 1950 and Central gave funds to the state government to complete the goal. In spite of this, much can't be seen in the field of education. In previous few years, enough amount has been spent at primary level, but it does not have effect. Due to the inappropriate work of government, the education can't be progressed, which leads to defect in education techniques. Defect in syllabus. The syllabus at primary level also have many defects. It's just in one direction and give more importance to bookish knowledge. The ability in every child to do something unique and to develop it doesn't have any value as teacher don't give it importance and this ability starts to evaporate. This syllabus doesn't have the lessons of social life which results in lack of moral values in children. Lack of fund. The primary education needs a lot of fund but the central government ignores the problem and several times the fund gets distributed in the way before reaching to the schools. This all leads to lack of fund in schools. Lack of trained teachers. There is not an appropriate ratio of students to teacher. For the advertisement of primary education, there is lack of trained teacher. The number of teachers is very low due to which each student is given much attention. Lack of schools. This is one of the biggest problem in the education of primary levels. In towns and cities, it does not face much problems, but in villages it has many problems as the people they don't want to give their land due to which there is lack of schools. Lack of motivation. The children of rural areas in our countries are not concerned for their studies, neither are their parents. This fact reveals that how much people are unconcerned about education. These people can be awed by some educated person and some type of awareness programs which will motivate them for education of their children. More of language. As there is vast diversity in language in India, but this diversity acts as a curse to education system. There are even several languages included in the curriculum, but there is a lack of teachers to teach this language. Steps taken by government to solve these problems. In the place of idealistic and defective education techniques at primary level, the government should add more moral and social educations. For the free and compulsory education of children from 6 to 14 years, government should take a strong step. The number of education under a supervisor should be fixed. The officers and supervisors should be provided with transport facilities. The lack of teachers should be fulfilled as soon as possible. The number of each class should not be more than 40 to 50. The schools must have all the technological aids of education. Supervisors must be concerned about their duty. Parents should take care of their children's education. The new technique of teaching and examination should be used. In the radar of 1 kilometer, one primary school should be established. The village, which has population of 200 to 300, must have a school. Primary schools must be established in tribal areas. In mountains, deserts and islands and other far to reach places should have appropriate number of schools. Primary education should be related to real life educations. Teachers should be motivated with complete arrangement of teaching. The conduct of exams should be improved. This are some of the important topics of foundation paper 1. For more topics of foundation paper 2, we will go through in the next video. Thank you.